Hosting The Tonight Show is a big deal, and many believe that Jimmy Fallon earned his hosting duties. But there are many out there who aren't Fallon fans, and some of them are his fellow celebrities. We'll show you 10 celebrities who just couldn't bite their tongues when appearing on The Tonight Show. But first, make sure that you hit the subscribe button for more content from the taco. Let's get started. John Oliver. You would think celebrity show hosts would be able to get along with one another, but apparently John Oliver just isn't a fan of Jimmy Fallon. Oliver hosts his own show, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, but made an appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. The show starts out pretty awkward, and it seems like Fallon isn't overly interested in asking Oliver questions. He's pretty far from his normal engaging self, and Oliver seizes on his complacency. When Fallon asks Oliver about his upcoming role in The Lion King, Oliver is quick to inform him that he's now a movie star and deserving of his respect. Fallon then tried to pay him a compliment by saying that he likes the title of his show, but Oliver pointed out that was a rather laughably weak compliment. While discussing their respective shows, Fallon admits that Oliver hosts a rather more hard-hitting show than he does. The two move on to other topics, including singer Barbra Streisand cloning her dogs. Oliver asks Fallon if Streisand is as high-maintenance in person as she looks, and Fallon visibly dodges the question. Oliver seems to take a dig at Fallon and his less than hard-hitting journalism by reiterating his comment about Last Week Tonight having a great name. Christie. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on, we can all agree that body shaming isn't cool. Former New Jersey Governor Christie ran for the Republican presidential nomination in 2016, ultimately losing to President Donald Trump. Rather than attacking his political viewpoints, many people resorted to simply attacking his appearance instead. It's a low blow, and not a particularly amusing one at that. Christie appeared on The Tonight Show in 2015 and recounted a story in which he spent the 4th of July with fellow politicians Marco Rubio and Mitt Romney. He mentioned that the group took a boat to pick up some ice cream, and that was enough to set Fallon off. Jimmy Fallon began talking about how excited Christie must have been when he was anticipating eating ice cream. Most people like ice cream, but see, it's funny because Christie is overweight. Well, Christie wasn't laughing and was even less amused when Fallon began doing an unflattering impression of him. He was so insulted that he decided to pay Fallon the ultimate insult by walking off his show. After bidding the audience goodbye, Christie walked off the stage. It was only after Fallon begged him not to do that, Christie decided to return. Emma Watson. If you have trouble imagining actress Emma Watson insulting someone to their face, don't worry. Although she slighted Jimmy Fallon on his show, she did so by accident. We can see that it can be sort of confusing that there are two late-night comedy show hosts both named Jimmy. There is Jimmy Fallon, of course, and then there is Jimmy Kimmel, who hosts Jimmy Kimmel Live. Apparently, Emma Watson is a fan of one of the classic segments of Jimmy Kimmel Live. During this segment, parents pretend to confess to their children that they've done something horrible, eating their Halloween candy. As you can imagine, the kids find this the scariest possible Halloween scenarios and react accordingly. Watson enjoyed the segment so much that she just couldn't resist talking about it with Jimmy. The only problem is, of course, that she confused Jimmy Fallon with Jimmy Kimmel. When she appeared on The Tonight Show, she apologized to Jimmy Fallon for her mistake. Although this must have been at least a bit embarrassing for Watson, we're willing to bet that it was far more humiliating for Fallon. She basically announced that he wasn't remarkable and that she preferred a rival comedy talk show. Steve Martin. Steve Martin is a man of many talents. In addition to being an actor and comedian, he's also an extremely talented and accomplished musician. He's also been on more than his fair share of late-night talk shows over the course of his career. It started with an appearance on The Steve Allen Show way back in 1969. So understandably, he was a bit tired of it all, but felt obligated to make an appearance on The Tonight Show. Martin was supposed to be promoting Bright Star, a musical that he co-wrote with Eddie Brickell. However, Martin was exhausted with the rigmarole of talk shows and made sure the audience knew it. Not only did he tell Jimmy Fallon that he wasn't interested in talking to him, he wrote and performed a whole song about it. Martin sang from his dressing room, claiming that he had run out of humorous anecdotes more than a decade ago. He also added that he simply couldn't bear the thought of listening to Fallon's stories about his wife and children. Martin's cantankerous musical was incredibly amusing, but it had to feel at least a little insulting to Fallon. It's one thing for someone not to want to chat, but quite another if they actually write a song about it. Cardi B. It seems like people can't get enough of Cardi B, and it's easy for fans to see why. But unfortunately, it seems like Jimmy Fallon isn't really a fan. We assume that he typically does at least a little bit of research about celebrities before they make appearances on his show, but maybe he just decided to wing it in this episode. Cardi B appeared on The Tonight Show, and it became painfully obvious that Fallon wasn't the one calling the shots on stage. He was forced to ask her the most basic questions possible, as if he had no clue who she was or why she was on his show. This might have been an awkward situation for a less confident guest, but Cardi B decides to totally take charge of the interview. She makes Fallon look pretty weak and ineffective and really makes him work to get through the interview in one piece. For fans of Cardi B, her attitude and demeanor weren't surprising in the least, but Fallon seemed to have no clue how to handle the situation. We're guessing that he wished he researched this particular guest a little bit more before inviting her on the show. Nicole Kidman. It's no secret that Nicole Kidman is a gorgeous Hollywood actress. They said that Hollywood is a small town, and it turns out that she and Fallon once came very close to having a much more intimate relationship. It's embarrassing not to be aware when someone has a crush on you. Apparently, Kidman and Fallon shared a mutual friend, and Kidman urged the friend to arrange a get-together. It seems that the actress had a huge crush on Fallon and was looking for an excuse to get closer. While this would be a dream situation for a lot of guys, Fallon went about handling things in a way that he now calls embarrassing. The pair did meet up at Fallon's apartment, however his behavior was downright strange. Kidman informed the audience that Fallon answered the door wearing a baseball cap and utterly refused to talk to her. He simply put on a video game and continued to play it until Kidman grew frustrated and left. Fallon usually loves trading quips, but this was so bad that he tried to hide under his desk, buried his head in his hands, and then ended up laying on the couch. Don Rickles. The late Don Rickles was a famous stand-up comedian, actor, voice actor, and author. He was well known for being an insult comic, so it's no surprise that he laid into Jimmy Fallon when he appeared on The Tonight Show. But as opposed to other guests who managed to insult him, being sassed by Don Rickles is sort of a huge compliment because of his talent and fame. He was a frequent guest on many late-night talk shows up until his health made it impossible to continue. Being insulted by Don Rickles is a badge of honor, and Jimmy Fallon was awarded it on his very own show. Rickles started off by making fun of the size of the studio audience, claiming that it was comprised of only about 12 people. He then confessed that he had never liked Fallon and even accused him of faking his painful broken finger. Talk about adding insult to injury. Then he mocked The Tonight Show itself and insinuated that Fallon spends a lot of time crying over the state of his talk show. Finally, Rickles admitted that the show is a hit, but adds that it probably won't last long. Louis C.K. Before he was known for his unconscionable behavior towards women, comedian Louis C.K. was known for his tell-it-like-it-is comedic stylings, and that style definitely carried over when he appeared on The Tonight Show to promote his stand-up special and proceeded to let Jimmy Fallon know that he wasn't exactly a fan. When Louis C.K. claimed that he loves to nap, Fallon replied, "You like it better than sleep? Yeah, have a moment to think about that." C.K. responded with an epic side-eye before informing Fallon that what he said was really stupid and a dumb thing to say. Most people are a little bit more subtle with their insults, but Louis C.K. was clearly not pulling any punches here. Not only was this cringeworthy enough, but Fallon still didn't get it. C.K. pointed out that was like asking if he preferred ice cream or frozen dairy-based desserts. They went back and forth while C.K. tried to explain why what Fallon said was so foolish, but it just wasn't working, so C.K. agreed to simply move past it. The whole incident was embarrassing for Fallon, frustrating for C.K., and baffling for the audience. Demi Lovato. Buying a gift for a celebrity has to be challenging, even if you're a celebrity yourself. After all, what do you get the person who already has everything? Demi Lovato has been a frequent guest of The Tonight Show, appearing over 10 times. On one visit, Lovato gave Fallon a personalized sweatshirt that she had just created for him. It showed their faces and read, J+D equals BFF forever. It was a truly touching gift, and Fallon decided to return the favor when Lovato made another appearance on his show. Apparently, Demi Lovato loves eating pickles, which is quite the coincidence since Fallon loves to make them. Not only did he present her with a fresh jar of homemade pickles, but he even documented the creation process with a series of photographs. Fallon had procured some farm-fresh cucumbers, created his own brine, and painstakingly waited for the fermentation process to complete. He even created a custom label for the pickles, but that wasn't enough to impress Lovato. Her reaction to his thoughtful and time-consuming gift was lukewarm at best, which definitely had to sting. She seemed to realize that her reaction had devastated Fallon and tried to salvage the situation without success. Rickman. Jimmy Fallon loves to do impressions of his fellow celebrities, but they don't all feel that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Some of them aren't afraid to confront Fallon about his impressions, including the late great actor Alan Rickman. Not only did Fallon sing songs while impersonating Alan Rickman, but he got actor Benedict Cumberbatch in on the action. Apparently, Cumberbatch is a huge fan of Alan Rickman, and he and Fallon decided to pay tribute in a very strange way. The two had a Rickman off on The Tonight Show, but Alan Rickman himself would have his revenge. He called out Fallon when he appeared on the show, but he had a brilliant plan for getting payback. First, he started out by making Fallon apologize for the Rickman off. Then, since Jimmy Fallon loved changing his voice so much, Rickman brought out the helium balloons. The pair took turns inhaling helium, which made their voices sound absolutely hysterical. They proceeded to conduct the interview with their newly acquired high-pitched voices. We doubt that this taught Jimmy Fallon a lesson about not impersonating celebrities, but it was pretty entertaining nonetheless. Are you a fan of Jimmy Fallon's specific brand of humor? Let us know in the comment section and then click on the subscribe button to get the latest videos from the taco. Thanks for watching!